I turned 103 last winter, and whenever people meet me, they usually ask the same question within a few minutes. They look at my face, my hands, the wrinkles that time carefully carved into my skin, and then they ask quietly, "What's your secret?" Some people laugh when they say it, some whisper it, but I know what they really mean. They want to know how someone can live this long when so many others don't. My name is Thomas Reed, and if you had met me when I was 50 years old, you probably would have guessed that I wouldn't live very long. I smoked cigarettes for more than 30 years. I worked long, exhausting shifts in a steel factory in Ohio. Most nights I slept 4 hours, maybe 5 if I was lucky. Fast food was easier than cooking, coffee was easier than rest, and stress was something I carried with me everywhere I went. Back then I thought that was just how life worked. You work hard, you push your body, and you deal with the consequences later. But one afternoon when I was 57 years old, everything changed. I remember sitting inside a quiet medical office, staring at white walls while my doctor looked through a thick folder that had my name printed on the front. He didn't say anything for a moment. Then he sighed. That sigh was the moment I realized something was wrong. Finally he looked up and said, "Thomas, if things keep going the way they are, you might not make it to 70. Hearing those words felt strange, not because they shocked me, but because deep down I already knew my body had been warning me for years. The constant fatigue, the tight feeling in my chest, the headaches that never seemed to go away. I walked out of that clinic and stood outside for a long time, feeling the cold wind against my face. For the first time in years I noticed the world around me. Cars passing, people walking, a child laughing somewhere across the street. Life was moving forward, but suddenly it felt like mine had a deadline. That night I sat alone in my kitchen with the lights off and asked myself a question I had been avoiding for years. How did I end up here? The answer wasn't dramatic. It wasn't one big mistake. It was hundreds of small ones. Every cigarette after lunch. Every night I refused to sleep. Every time I ignored the signals my body was sending me. I kept telling myself I would fix everything later. But later has a dangerous habit of disappearing. The next morning something inside me shifted. I didn't make a huge plan. I didn't promise to change everything overnight. Instead, I made one simple rule for myself, a rule so small it almost sounded silly at first. From that day forward, every single day, I would do one thing that helped my body instead of hurting it. Just one thing. Some days it was a 20-minute walk after dinner. Some days it was drinking water instead of soda. Sometimes it meant going to bed earlier than usual. Over time it meant slowly quitting cigarettes, something I never thought I would be able to do. The important part was that I never tried to change everything at once. I only focused on one small decision each day. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years, and something surprising began to happen. My energy started coming back. My breathing felt easier. The headaches slowly disappeared. When I returned to the doctor for another checkup, he looked at my test results and raised his eyebrows in confusion. "Whatever you're doing," he said, keep doing it. So I did. 70 came and went. Then 80. Then 90. Many of the men I once worked with were no longer around. Every funeral reminded me that life is never guaranteed, but it is influenced by the choices we make every day. Now I'm 103 years old. My steps are slower and my hair is long gone, but every morning when I wake up, I still follow the same rule that saved my life all those years ago. I do one thing that helps my body. Sometimes it's a quiet walk outside while the sun rises. Sometimes it's fresh fruit for breakfast. Sometimes it's simply taking a deep breath and appreciating the fact that I woke up again. People often believe the secret to long life must be complicated. They imagine special diets, expensive supplements, or perfect genetics. But the truth is much simpler than that. Longevity often comes from small choices repeated over a very long time. When people ask me today what kept me alive this long, I give them the same honest answer. It wasn't luck, and it wasn't a miracle. It was one small decision repeated every day for the rest of my life. And if you're hearing this story right now, remember something important. You don't need to change everything tonight. You don't need to become perfect tomorrow. All you need is one better choice today, because the life you will have 20 or 30 years from now is quietly being built by the decisions you make right now. At 103 years old, I'm still grateful for every morning I open my eyes. And it all started with one small decision that I chose to repeat every single day.